each Sunday night.
Gonna need more coffee.
I'd watch the practice with none of my friends. I turn the dial to ABC to see the creep of the week that Bobby Donald defends. But I'm out of practice.
With your hosts, Keith Varney.
Out of practice.
And I screwed it up already, Mike Indeglio.
Way back in high school,
It's true.
most every night, my mom watched QVC, so I missed the practice. There was no TiVo. What
You
could
criticized
I
my
do?
dancing last time.
Wait 15
Yep,
years
we did it
amazing
anyway.
dancing. Mike, this is all we need. 1080p, baby. That's all we need. Nobody wants more.
Last week got up-res to 4K. This week,
Why?
everything was screwed up.
And welcome to the Out of Practice Podcast, a weekly podcast in which we discuss David E. Kelley's award-winning series. And like I said a half an hour ago when we started this again, you already know that, including you probably already know that we had to start this again. You've been with us for a long time now, but we are talking about Season 6, Episode 4, Vanished, Part 1, which means there might be a Part 2. How is it? It is 11. It was supposed to be 11 a.m. It is now 11:40 a.m. How's it going on this bright and sunny Monday morning?
Oh, it's going wonderfully, Keith. There's only one thing I know about this episode. Actually, there's a few things I've figured out already, but one thing I know for sure going forward, I don't know that it's going to actually get recorded because we're having problems. However, what I am sure of is it ain't going to be as sexy as last week. That is for sure.
I mean, folks, was that too sexy? Did you feel uncomfortable listening on the subway because Mike was just so sexy
I
last
dropped the sexy hard as I could drop it.
week? Which, as discussed after 40, is, hard enough.
Ish. Oh, damn.
Oh my goodness. It is. Now, of course, we're still a week ahead. So it's a little disconcerting, but we are plowing ahead with Season 6. Life is continuing. It is now spring. It's been beautiful here. We just got through Easter. If you celebrate Easter, happy Easter. We did.
Yes.
I will have you know that I got a text from my mother-in-law. It's like, "Oh, did you get your cat an Easter basket?" And so I quickly improvised one. So it was pretty good until I realized, or until Jillian found that I put we didn't have a basket, so I used a coffee filter, and we didn't have any hard-boiled eggs, so I put a raw egg in the coffee filter, and she's like, "That's definitely going to be on the floor in 10 seconds."
Hashtag OOPSCATCONTENT. I forgot to put it up there when you mentioned. Did you get Charlie Basket?
Well, I didn't. Well, I used the coffee filter, but
Right.
while we're doing it, while you're finding, there's the cat content. I figure, as you mentioned last week, we might need this. So hold on to your hats, folks.
We have tried for years to make this podcast a success.
We failed.
It's time to give the world what it wants. Meow, meow. Hot cat content. Meow, meow. Hot cat content. Meow, meow. Hot cat content.
Yeah.
We now have a hot cat content bumper, folks. Get ready for that to be played every week now.
Now, Keith, not only, I want you just so you know that I not nearly as much work, but a smidge of the work. Not only do we
Did you do one too?
No, I wish. Oh, that would be amazing. No, I just made this stupid graphic. As you can see, it's a stick figure cat that just says hashtag oops cat content. But I want you to know, because the origins of cat content, there was also, remember it was moody cat content? Because it got real dark. So you'll notice I put a goth earring into the cat.
I know. It's like a bow tie with a skull. I like it.
Yeah, so we really, and with today's Easter egg, it really fits.
It definitely does. Wow, that's How exciting. So, yes, so that was this week's cat content. Maybe I'll throw a pic of up on the pod of Charlie's Easter basket.
Oh, I can't wait.
Which he enjoyed very much. I also have, very quickly, they finally announced season 2 of Retro Tech.
Yes. Plug.
Yeah, so my episode is going to air April something. But I just wanted to, not to brag, but I want to read a little bit from the press release where I finally am going to get some love in the press release.
Thank God.
Here's this. The impressive lineup of featured guests include innovator and philanthropist Bill Gates, astrophysicist, planetary scientist, and author Neil deGrasse Tyson, actors and comedians Michael Ian Black, Wyatt Cenac, Chris Gethard, Dulce Sloan, YouTube giant creators Jake Baldino, Kevin Lieber, Gally Russell, Austin Evans, Michael Gregory, Sarah Dici, and wait for it, here it comes. It's finally my turn, among others. Woo! I am so honored.
Oh, that's big time.
To be credited among others.
Hey. They're in the edit room. They're like, what was his name? Oh, whatever. It's cool.
Well, for the YouTube creators, right? Jake Baldino, 6.3 million subscribers. Kevin Lieber, 4.3 million, and so on. Keith Varney, 38.
Hey, you know what? Started with 0, baby. Started from the bottom. Now we're here. Among others.
Among others. I think I need to get a t-shirt.
I'll tell you what, among others is great SEO, though, buddy. You Google that, you're going to really see some results.
No, definitely. Yeah. No, that's I'm frequently credited among others.
If people wanted to follow you and among others, how would they do that?
I don't know. You mean on YouTube? I think
no. This is what the segue into the big bold
into
letters.
Ours.
Yes.
Oh,
this is the contact info.
Oh,
that we always forget to do.
Yeah, you're trying to read don't read the rundown. That's not for you.
You sent it to me.
Well, because you wanted to know who won the number one song.
This is going well. It's going well.
Never record in the mornings. If you would like to contact the Out of Practice podcast, you can email us at outofpracticepodcast@gmail.com. You can find us on Facebook and Instagram at Out of Practice Podcast. If you would like to follow, among others, I think on Facebook I'm at Keith Varney, or Instagram I'm at Keith Varney.
Yes,
I don't know.
Yes, you are. Yes. And
Look
I'm
at me.
And Mikey I99.
But more importantly, if you would like to follow Charlie,
oh yeah,
it is
big.
At Charlie Jr. the Cat on Instagram. While you're at it, while you're wasting your time following our nonsense, which it's certainly my personal stuff I never update, you can do us a giant favor by joining the jury and leaving us, meaning the Out of Practice podcast, a rating and review on Apple Podcasts or any other service. Just let us know, and you can join this incredible assemblage of fine people, all of who have helped the podcast a great deal.
Yes, we thank each and every one of them, especially those who we spelled incorrectly.
Yes. Well, and we should hop into Filings and Subpoenas, but I want to say quickly that one of the things that I've done this, it's not more TV because it's a little more solemn than that, but I've been watching the Derek Chauvin trial, which has been really horrifying and horrifying is the only word I can come up with, but it's been really fascinating to watch the process in a real trial and to have the opportunity to watch the whole thing and watch the prosecution lay out its case. At this point on April 5th, the prosecution is still laying out the case, which I'm not sure what the defense is going to be, but I'm curious to see what they come up with. But it's been really something, and I think perhaps it's good that we as a country are able to watch some of this accountability happening after the George Floyd murder.
Filings and subpoenas.
Well, our CEO, Jen, who actually has direct access to us, but still felt that she wanted to say publicly that last episode, and of course, everyone's talking here about season 6, episode 2, because we're a week ahead. Said Charlie Jr.'s tail stole the show, which of course it did. Charlie Jr.'s tail always steals the show. And of course, moderator Phoenix Cage weighed in to point out that his name was misspelled in the jury.
Keith, how dare you?
I'm not here for spelling, okay? That's not what I ain't being paid to spell. God damn it. But yes, sorry about that. We have remedied it. He also says, Mike, you sound a bit stuffy. Was it from the smoke or just spring allergies? Right now, I sound similar because I had sinus surgery yesterday. I certainly hope you are recovering nicely from sinus surgery. That's no fun.
Keith, I found here that in Pennsylvania, somehow, maybe just my area, somehow, actually, I know exactly how. So it had to have been a little bit chilly. New York, we had that dry radiator heat, as you recall.
Right.
Here we have gas heat with the thermostat and everything. Somehow it's drier. It is more dry somehow. And the relative humidity in a house, especially if you have instruments, you want to keep it between 40 and 60%, right?
Yeah.
On the extremes. Yeah. We were down in the 13 to 23% relative humidity here, so it was dry as hell. So that's why I've been a little, this, that, and also, the marijuana. And so that's why I sound stuffy. But I do appreciate your concern, Mr. Cage.
Yes.
And I pass mine off to you. I hope that you're recovering well from your surgery.
Definitely. I could probably use it. I feel like my nose is getting even more sideways. I don't know what's happening there.
I think we're watching a real-time anxiety meltdown.
That's what this podcast has been for 2 years. Like,
I can't wait for this day in the basement. Do I have a this day in the basement for you?
Oh boy, I'm excited. It's going to be good. Well, I will just round it out because I'm a completist with our filings and subpoenas. So if you spam us, I'm going to read you on the air. So on Instagram.
Did we get spammed?
Oh, yeah, a couple of times. Mohit Chowdhury, 54, says, promoted at Empire Records. And EOE, 19, also says, promoted at Beatles Media. So, guys, people want us to promote our Instagram content. So
we also got a nefarious link from and a couple of logins from the Czech Republic, or where was it?
Great.
Yeah, we had to re-authenticate.
No, we're but Jay, like the Instagram, like we don't post a lot of it here on the YouTubes, but you should really check out the Instagram. Like it's
the only moderately successit's part of the podcast.
It's the only and moderately professional. Like it's really something. All of the HaikOOpsys are showing up there. It's really worth a view. So definitely check out the IG. All right. Let us move forward because I have to yell at a nerd in 2 hours. Let us hop backwards into the time machine. And we are going to talk about October 14th, the year 2001. And ask the eternal question, Mike, what was going on?
This day in the basement.
Well, I'm so glad you asked, Keith. And it turns out, as I hit all my buttons, so many buttons.
Hit those buttons.
So many buttons. That I do have something to talk about here.
Oh,
so you'll recall I moved to New York, and I was singing a lot more than usual, and my voice was a lot more tired than usual. You know what? I'm going to decide, make an executive decision to edit in real time, and say that I'm not ready to jump over there yet. Wasn't quite ready yet.
I don't know, but now I'm so excited.
It's really not that exciting. So I growing up, I should mention this. I got a lot of sinus infections, much like Phoenix, which is another similarity that I'm sure he'll find astounding. And it happened quite frequently, and I just assumed that was part of my lot in life. When I got to school, I got a pretty good one once we began school, and it was really kind of troublesome when you got to, sing a lot every day, multiple times a day for hours on end, and then rehearse. And I then had a teacher who pulled me aside, and his name was Joe. He was my VPS teacher, voice and speech. It was a voice and speech class, a lot of Meisner technique, wonderful class, loved it. And it ends up actually saving me in a lot of ways because he pulled me aside and he said the dreaded words no singer wants to hear. I think you may have nodes.
Oh, shit.
And that, tracked a little bit once I did a little research because I was in a rock band in high school and I did a lot of screamy singing, and I was just learning to really sing these past few years, so my technique was questionable at best. And Keith, I pulled a lot of stuff to let you hear, but at my age, some recordings of around this time, you could really hear something's up with my voice. It's like I'm swallowing my tongue. It sounds like I'm swallowing my tongue, which I probably was. But I'm just so embarrassed by some of it that I just can't play it on the internet. And you know me, I don't have a lot of shame. So you can imagine how bad it is. But I'll consider it moving forward. Anyway, I went to an ENT the first time I had been. I got scoped. They did the whole thing. And I found out the good news, bad news situation. Now, remember, this is my first semester at school.
Right.
That I didn't have nodes, thankfully.
Okay, that's good.
What had happened was that I had had so many sinus and tonsillitis infections as a kid that my tonsils were, in the professional opinion of the ENT, as big as golf balls.
Oh, shit.
So you are basically, he says to me, singing around 2 golf balls in your throat. So what you can see here on the left is, a couple. These aren't to scale, obviously. Well, maybe they are.
Probably
an approximation of what your tonsils should look like and what mine were. So
right.
That's why that picture on the right specifically. That's why I sounded like I was swallowing my tongue, because ostensibly there was something in my throat.
Interesting. Oh,
so
that's fascinating. Now I really want to hear it, because like it's not like judging what you sounded like. You had like a medical condition.
Yeah. So I had to, at the age of 20, between 20 and 21, have my tonsils out, which is a surgery that generally little kids get, and it's like chickenpox. You really don't want it as an adult, especially when you're in school. So I went and had my tonsils out. And not only did it take both of my tonsils out, but there was a little bit of a slip during the surgery, and they lanced my tongue slightly. So I got this tongue infection, which...
Oh, Jesus.
Yeah, so I had like a couple of stitches on my tongue, my tonsils out, they were all stitched up. And then I had to... So anyway, I healed up. I had to take a little bit of time off of school. Just not participating. I still had to like dance and stuff, which was dumb. But... But I ended up then having to do intense speech therapy. And luckily, this guy, Joe, I wish I remembered his last name. Probably best that I don't. My VPS teacher actually did private rehab with me, because clearly my medical coverage did not cover it. And basically, I had to relearn to sing because I had learned to like manipulate the sound around these obstacles.
Right.
So that when they were gone, I was doing a lot of like mouth manipulation, some bad habits that I have to this very day. But I eventually got back on track. And though this is not a good comparison, I did find something after surgery that I'm not as embarrassed to play.
Oh, good.
But you can tell the sound is much clearer. It's an interesting song, but you can tell that my sound is a lot clearer. Let's see if it works. It's a short little tune. Of course, it's broken-hearted.
You sound a lot like a guitar.
This is what a healing little me sounds like.
Good for them, 'cause I can barely handle this one. So now I'm writing love songs for them.
It's a love song for octopuses.
I was going to say, did you just say cephalopods?
I did.
You did.
Anyway, that's all the singing. But yeah, it was a weird time. So,
well, a couple of things. Yet another good tune. Like, when are you going to put it on an album, Michael?
yeah. Well, my songs are a minute and a half long, so it's rough.
So you need like 30 songs, but that's all right.
Actually, I'm not generally a fan of lyric, but the octopus has 8 arms and 3 hearts. Good for them. I can barely handle this one. So I'm writing love songs for cephalopods. I think that's a pretty interesting term.
That's a great line. It's a great line, yeah.
But that's not great without a direct juxtaposition of how I sounded prior. But you can tell there's a lot more space, and it was interesting at 20 years old to finally go back to school and actually have to relearn to actually sing, which is where we were.
Which it's interesting because I think about it from a vocal pedagogy standpoint. It actually is a good time to do that because, especially for men, you're having to relearn how to sing at that, like 18 to 25 range anyway, because you're still dealing with the remnants of your voice changing, and it's still developing and growing for like 10 years after that. So it actually makes where you did it in a sort of a medical extreme fashion, but really everybody is doing it, relearning how to sing, because we're finally getting some real technique and figuring out that kind of stuff. I think that's fascinating.
Yeah.
Very interesting.
Another weird parallel with Phoenix too. So
yeah. Interesting. Well, cool. Well, I have a clip this week too, but it's not the one you're expecting, Mike. So first off, I'm so happy to have the old emails back because I know what's going on. So it's fall in Vermont. My mother sent me these pictures of the foliage that she took just that day. That's the road I grew up on.
Crazy.
That is Poker Hill Road, and that's just like a random little farmland right behind us. If you go for a walk on the road, she clearly went there and got that, so that was very pretty. 2 other things that I found in email. One is 21-year-old Keith really understanding the internet and how it worked. Spent some time this week replying to junk mail saying, please unsubscribe me.
Oh, boy. Wow. Hello. That's
Hello,
hysterical.
2001. I really understood. And I was like a tech nerd. I've always been a tech nerd, but I was like, man, they'll be, take me right off the list for sure.
Or there will be hell to pay. I will write a strongly worded email.
I know. And they'll definitely not use a response as a way to say this is a verified email and then send 10 trillion more. But I also had an email scheduling with my friend at school, Philip Palmer, who has gone on to be a pretty successful musical theater composer in various ways. But at that point, he was one of my classmates, and he was doing at school what I should have been doing and a little bit what you were doing, Mike. And he was taking a recording class and a studio mixing, mastering, recording sort of a deal. And he was a composer. And so his class project was to take one of the songs that he had written, to orchestrate it and then record it. And because he was, his heart is a musical theater dude, just like me, he called in the musical theater nerd, and we recorded this. At Eastman, nobody was like, sings like this. They're like, what the fuck are you doing?
Beside the waters. Oh, is this eternity for our whole race? Then why do we bring to this place newborn sons and newborn daughters?
Boy, having access to real strings, it just makes such... And so it literally just like you grab 4 random classmates and like just throw this down And but like we did a couple of those, and I so regret not having taken that opportunity, because we had a beautiful professional recording studio there. You had world-class musicians of all flavors who can just show up and like sight read it, for God's sakes. And it's just like, I should have done more of that.
We could spend a whole different podcast on like the shit you didn't take advantage of. Well,
We should have.
College in general in the beginning. You know, you just mentioned like I was starting. If I could just do the, well, we can't, so whatever. But I'm so sorry that I didn't get to finish that. What an opportunity to study with some of those people in a state-of-the-art recording. And now I could use a lot of those skills as I've just learned to be a hack. So,
no, me too. Me too. Well, look, we took the path we took.
And here we are.
And it got us to the point where we are here on this podcast being listened to by literally tens of people and listed prominentely in worldwide press releases as among others. So
yeah. You know what? You're not wrong, Keith. You're not wrong.
No, we're not. Now, let us continue our stream of regrets and talk about...
Oh, wait.
It's time for the Out of Practice podcast. This day in the world.
All of a sudden
the greatest
it worked.
hits, the biggest movies, headlines.
All right, hold on. We'll talk about... Ready? It's going to be the Globe one. We're going to talk about some other things.
Let me hit the button. I think it's all programmed to the button, which is why I got to do it this way.
Get that hotkey ready.
Let's try it.
All right. Oh, for the first time, we're going to talk about...
It's time for the Out of Practice podcast.
There we go.
This day in the world. The greatest hits, the biggest movies, headlines from Vermont, essential sports updates, and for some inexplicable reason, the weather from 20 years ago. Now back to Keith and Mike.
Okay, well, on October 14th, the year 2001, we were all listening to I'm Real, Murder Remix.
We were all
Jennifer Lopez featuring Ja Rule. Oh, that was really banging at the in Kilbourne Hall at the Eastman School of Music. The top movie continued to be Training Day, which took in $13 million in week 2. And on the Burlington Free Press, there was an anthrax scare that closed the INS. Now, if you remember, right here at the beginning of the war with Afghanistan, right after 9/11, we had a whole bunch of anthrax scares and other such stuff. It was kind of it was a nervous time. Oh, thank you. That was loud. Okay.
This is going really good, I think, if I'm being honest.
Oh my God. We're really crushing it.
What do we do now?
Speaking of very loud, it's time for...
It's time for Sportsball.
The New York Football Giants lost a squeaker to the greatest show on turf in St. Louis, 50-14. Kurt Warner threw 316 yards in the win. With Tiki Barber injured, No Game Dane rushed for 88 yards and a touchdown. The loss dropped the Giants to 3-2. The Philadelphia Football Eagles were on a bye. Oh, I timed it. That's the only thing that's gone right. Amazing. All right.
I'm a human being. God damn it. My life has value. And I'm not going to take this anymore.
Truly.
It's time to talk about the damn episode.
I played that for you off air while you were setting up the deck today. We are talking about the Practice Season 6, Episode 4, Vanished, Part 1. Vanished
like
is...
the majority of this recording. We'll probably...
And our professionalism.
Yeah.
This episode had a teleplay by Crystal Nix Hines, who wrote on 4 episodes of Alias and 1 of Commander-in-Chief. A story by Kathy McCormick. This is her only episode of The Practice, but she also wrote on Law & Order, Reasonable Doubts, Crossing Jordan, Law & Order UK. I didn't even know there was a Law & Order UK. And Crystal Nix Hines. It was directed by Arvin Brown, who last directed on Brothers Keeper, which leaves us with only one thing to do before we mercifully move on to the episode, and that is...
You know, next week I'm going to have to talk about...
What is that supposed to mean?
some new Law and Orders.
Is this what happens to women when you insert your penis?
What?
But
What does Mike think's gonna happen?
You know, what if he would have drank the curdled milk? Then what would have happened?
Well, I mean, I'm hoping my first prediction is that we somehow conclude the episode before 4:30 today.
now, yeah, seriously. No, season 6 is the season of
Big pitches.
big pitches. Last week it was sexy pitches,
Yes,
but
today's
we can
big.
go back to big pitches.
Bold pitches.
Bold pitches.
So, Keith, I've been thinking a lot about last week, actually, because I can't believe they did Jimmy dirty like that. Jimmy's become one of my favorite characters. His arcs are all over the place, but I generally love that Badalucco rises to the challenge.
Mm-hmm.
And then I remembered that last season they put Bobby on trial for first-degree murder.
That's true. That's
And I
slightly
thought,
more.
Wait a
problem.
second. Jimmy's just a gambleaholic?
Mhm.
We can do better than that. And so my pitch for this week, Keith, is that rather than digging Jimmy out of his gambling hole, let's dig him further.
Ooh.
My pitch for this episode, or let's say, for this episode, is that Jimmy digs his hole deeper by committing more crimes.
Ooh, more crimes.
I can't specify what they are because I just don't know. But
Look, if you're going to pitch an episode, you got to be specific. What crimes is Jimmy going to do?
Perhaps Jimmy. No, see, Bobby got accused of hiring a hitman. I was going to say he hires a hitman on Jeffrey Tambor.
Right.
But instead of that, let's think maybe let me but Jimmy needs to get money fast.
Yes.
Perhaps Jimmy gets found or maybe not found. Perhaps Jimmy considers or puts into plan a motion to embezzle money from the firm.
Ooh, okay.
But I feel like Lucy would be on top of that shit. Where else could he get the money? He's got an old client. He tried that last week. Jimmy is going to nefariously
Just start a podcast.
get money. The war chest would grow fast. Jimmy is going to commit crimes to get money to pay off this gambling debt.
Okay.
That's my big jamby.
Big Jamby, folks. There it is.
Can you say big jamby again? That's awesome when you say it for whatever reason.
Big Jamby, folks. It is time to hop over to your podcasting service of choice and listen to us listen to the practice. Season 6, Episode 4, Vanished Part 1. We'll see you on the flip side for the oopsies.
Maybe we'll see you. You all should know and probably have deciphered by this point just how badly this is going. But we'll try to pull it all
They're
together.
not all
for you.
winners, but they are all losers.
And we are back, baby.
Oh boy, we got through Vanished Part 1. We have so many thoughts not demonstrated by our performance during the episode,
Ooh, girl.
which it wasn't great. But you know what will be great? Everybody's favorite brand new segment.
Not brand new. We got to do the old one first.
We do the old one first?
Mike has 30 seconds to remember what just happened on the show. Yo, Jimmy's upset because he owes Pedo some money. Or no, he owes Jeffrey Tam. Actually, that's God help me. He owes somebody money. He's borrowing money from clients. He's taking money out of the bank. He wins a horse race, but everybody's pissed at him. Meanwhile, Joanna Gleason's defending a pedo. That's what I meant. To find a body, who we learn maybe is still alive after all of that. So the parents, are they just chasing a rainbow? Everybody knows Mike is in trouble.
All right, I have a new. I think we can change the resolution from 1080p to camera off.
Oh, good God. That was maybe the worst of all time. That was the worst.
Oh, all right. Now you're just sitting on the screen. All right. Now it's everybody's favorite.
Hold on.
news segment.
The preview. I gotta fix it for you. This is what's happening. It's so bad. Okay.
Everyone's favorite news segment.
Keith, we're going question, statement, question this week.
Oh, okay.
Why am I so big sitting there? That's not what it's supposed to be. Hold on. Let's see in real time the way it's
Giant HaikOOpsy.
There we go. That's more. Oh, no, I shrunk everything. Why? You know what? I deserve it. It's staying like that.
This is such a mess.
Jimmy keeps digging? Tell us where the body is. Chasing magic beans.
Very good. Very good.
Oh, God damn it.
Yeah. So I have one more camera adjustment.
Quit podcast.
Surrender, Dorothy. Okay. All right. So that was great. The HaikOOpsy was great. And you know what else is going to be great?
Please.
Our favorite award show. There it is.
The Out of Practice podcast, in unofficial, unsolicited, unfactual association with David E. Kelly Productions, proudly present
Oopsie.
the Oopsies, celebrating excellence in acting good, lawyering good, guesting good, and being Tom Brady. Not to mention, this is where we rate the episode and stuff. Now, here are your hosts, Keith and Mike.
What the hell are the Oopsies?
Well, I'll tell you a person whose name I'm not going to mention on this episode. They are the fake awards show that we do at the end of every episode that begins with...
Most valuable.
Keith, we're coming in hot next week. Everything's going to be great next week. It's going to work. We're going to be funny. We're going to be on it. The graphics are going to work.
I can't wait.
Do you know, also last week, I totally forgot to mention it was my anniversary because we're a week ahead, so I didn't realize it was going to air on my anniversary, so now CEO Jen's going to probably fire me, which is probably what I deserve.
Well, happy anniversary next week, last week, whatever the time was.
So, I can tell you this. Jimmy is not the most valuable lawyer this week.
No. He's the most valuable gambler. He made a lot of money.
And I think Bobby's doing a good job navigating ever-changing desires of his client and trying to use the law and use the criminal proceeding or the civil proceeding to compel the defendant to ostensibly admit to a crime he maybe didn't pursue. And if he can't get him to admit that crime and or where the body is, at least get him to stay in prison. So Bobby's juggling a lot and I think doing it. And though it can be said Gleason thus far has done pretty well as well. I'm going to go with Bobby McDonnell. Yeah, no, I think he's really making a case out of mist at this point because, you know, as Deborah Mooney, the judge, pointed out, like there's really nothing here. And yes, the burden of proof is lower in a civil case, but even just to get him on the stand, even to get the case rolling at all is takes a lot of maneuvering, and he's doing a good job, like you said, dealing with the competing interests of his client. So yeah, no, I think Bobby's doing a really good job. It's tough to say because we don't know what the outcome of the case is going to be. But if the twist at the end, where the kid is still alive and he came back, whatever the results of the case was, putting the case up has resulted possibly in reuniting this family. So, congratulations, Bobby Donald, on your most valuable lawyer. And now it's time. Stretch it up, folks.
Already famous cause you've been on TV, getting a paycheck, or the first entry on your IMDb. Way to go, but you're the best guest actor. You are the best guest actor. You are the best guest actor on the episode.
Magic beans.
I should have gotten them. All right, next time.
Oh, yeah, that's me. I don't, man.
See, what happens now is you talk, and then I talk, and then we give out a fake award, and then we can all go home.
Joanna Gleason.
Well,
she's great.
Well, she's great, and I love Joanna Gleason, and I'd give her an award for pretty much anything. But I actually have two other people who I would give it to.
You think? Okay, go ahead.
So I thought
me.
that Deirdre O'Connell did a very good job in this episode.
Yes.
Really, being able to bring all of that emotion, all of that 18 years of pent up rage and sadness without overdoing it, without chewing the scenery. And, you sort of, Charlie just jumped out of the window and knocked my phone off. But I thought did a really, really fine job there in a tough role, because that can get sort of overwrought and cliched, because we see that character a lot. I think she did a really good job. I also thought that Tom Bauer as the creepy guy did a really credible job as well. In the sense you're playing a monster, but this version is a little more complex, a little more interesting, and has really kept me guessing. Obviously now, if the kid came back, he didn't kill him. And he was able to play that monster with a shred of dignity, with a shred of credibility, showing the remorse, but also not giving away. I thought he did a really good job as well. So I'm a little torn. But I guess I'm going to
expecting a Splitsky.
I was expecting a Splitsky, but not that one. But I guess I will give my half to Deirdre O'Connell. So congratulations.
A shout out to Deborah Mooney also.
Deborah Mooney was great too. Charlie is now composing behind me. It's a lot going on in cat content today. He's getting bored because this has been going on forever. All right, so great. Let's move forward with...
You killed your podiatrist or blew the case, but you let a single tear run down your face. You're the best actor on the show.
We got some great stuff from Bobby this week, from Dylan McDermott, but I also think, for me, in the face of just a completely off the rails, not completely off the rails, a semi off the rails plot line with Jimmy, Michael Bonaluca was still grounding it. He had to show us despair. He had to show us sort of an addict's frenzy when faced with not just the consequences of owing the vig, but also, Eugene and his work, his whole professional life being questioned, and that horse scene of him just kind of like going through everything and then winning and playing that in a different take. It's not the way you're expecting. You're expecting him to this big celebration, but not him. It's like this very business-like, okay, what's my next? I just thought he was tasked with a really he's sort of in a different play than everybody. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And he plays it well. And Keith is also in a different play with his cat rearing. But I got to give it to Michael Bonaluca here.
No, I think for sure it's Michael, and very well done keeping that train of thought going while my cat turned on the demo on the piano.
Oh, we didn't hear that. Unfortunately/fortunately, we didn't hear it.
Oh, you'll hear it when we get there. I thought Michael did a really good job here. He's sort of stuck. He's the character has been placed in a really tough position, and he's not making good decisions. But Michael's bringing honesty to it, and it's exciting. I mean, it was certainly exciting to watch him react to the race all on his face. So congratulations, Michael Badalucco, for your Best Actor Award. Coming up now, it's
the Tom Brady Award for being Tom Brady.
Up in your screen, you'll see last week's Tom Brady Award for being Tom Brady, which was, I don't remember.
I don't remember either because we haven't posted the last episode and I have to watch that part in order to do the graphic. So I'm sure it was hilarious Tom Brady gag.
And it may or may not appear, but if it was going to appear, it would be now.
Otherwise, you find it on Instagram.
Future Mike. Yeah. Check us out on Instagram. But this week, I think we've beaten the dead ogre so much with our soon-to-be revealed Easter egg. Let's do the 2021 revival of Into the Woods starring Tom Brady as the Tom Brady Award for being Tom Brady.
Tom Brady playing what character? Who would you cast Tom Brady as?
Well, I mean, most people would think that Tom Brady would be one of the princes, one of the agony princes. But I think we got to go a little bit different, and let's go. This week's winner of the Tom Brady Award for being Tom Brady is On the Steps of the Brady, as Tom Brady performs as Cinderella as Into the Woods.
On the Steps of the Brady. Great. Congratulations on the steps of the Brady, Tom Brady. And now it's time for...
Ladies and gentlemen, it is time to announce how many spare tires this episode gets.
Well, folks, we really went a long way around the block today. Everything broke. We tried to fix it. Nothing got fixed. But at the end of the day, it was a pretty good episode. I thought it raised a pretty cool question about whether we could use these civil proceedings to compel this witness to tell us where the body is. And though the Jimmy thing seemed ridiculous at first, I was right about it, so that makes it better to me.
Oh, clearly.
He stole money from the firm, so I'm interested as to see, like, how can we... Last year, we tried to redeem the Helen character. Didn't quite work out for us. This year, it seems like we're breaking down the Jimmy character, possibly for a late redemption. We shall see. So I'm interested. And also, I'm interested to see, they compelled me to see where the episode goes next week, as potentially we have the discovered child. So anyway, I thought as a part one, it was pretty good. It raised the stakes properly. It asked enough questions for me to maintain my interest from week to week. I'm still a little upset with, at first I thought the Jimmy stuff was just out of left field, but the show, kind of one of the practice things it does is to do that crazy meta arc. So it's not that out of character. Liked it, didn't love it. I was distracted a lot of this episode because of my own failings as a host, a husband, a human being. So I'm going to give it 7.61 spare tires.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah, this episode, well, I do find the idea of Jimmy's arc compelling, that I think Jimmy struggling with a gambling addiction would be a compelling story arc. And it is a story arc that I would buy. I would totally buy that this would happen. And I would like to find that out. I'm not really that compelled by this version of the story arc because it feels abrupt, because Jimmy's decision-making process doesn't make a lot of sense. And there's a way for the show to justify him making these decisions, taking these risks, but I just don't think they did. It felt a little lazy in some ways. Like they want to set up the end game of, he's in this situation. What is the firm going to do? He gets the miraculous win, which gets him out of the financial trouble, but now he's got this. But it feels a little abrupt and a little undercooked. Although Michael did a tremendous job with it, I don't know. I want to see the better version. I want to see draft 2 of this storyline, and I feel like we're seeing draft 1. The other case I thought was a little bit more interesting. I liked the ambiguity about this character, the Tom Bauer character, and his relationship with his crimes and the both taking responsibility for his crimes, but also being pretty fed up with feeling accused of crimes he didn't commit because of that. And I don't know. I found that a little bit more interesting. He's really alive and he just showed up feels a little bit of a soap opera twist to me. So I'm really curious to see how they finish that. So I don't know. This is not the type of episode that I like. This is sort of
Are you talking about the podcast or of the practice?
Yeah, all of the above. It felt very work back from the twisty to me. It sometimes this happens. Like the practice will have like, a really cool idea for a twist, and then they work back from it. And so stuff sort of has to lay out in a certain way, and it's not really, again, it feels a little undercooked. Feels a little under thought out. Because they want that big practice aha moment at the end. And the better episodes work their way, like writing it chronologically, where you're actually like, all right, we set up the conflict and then we have them battle it out and see what happens. And this felt a little forced. So the whole thing felt a little forced to me. So I'm going to give it 6.93 spare tires for this episode. I'm curious to see what happens. Part 2 might redeem it. Who knows? But as of now, that's the amount of spare tires you get.
Speaking
and I'll tell
of
you
redemption,
we're not getting one. But we can redeem your afternoon by moving on with your day. If you would like to email and complain, you can find us at outofpracticepodcast@gmail.com or on Facebook and Instagram at outofpracticepodcast. You can do us a huge favor, and as I say every week, please leave us a rating and review on Apple Podcasts, just not about this episode. But you can join all of these fine people. If you leave a review on a service that's not Apple, just let us know. We'll be happy to read it and welcome you gratefully into the jury. Speaking of gratitude, this episode of the Out of Practice podcast is brought to you by founding sponsors Jorge Navoa, Cloud Lover 69, Leanne Wrights, Jennifer Masanova, and Kari Kuhn.
if you would like to join them, and to be quite frank, why?
Why would you?
Yeah, because we're very attractive. You can do so by, finding the show notes and clicking on a link and, potentially be giving a virus. Who knows? Haven't checked those links.
Wow.
I imagine they still
Make a
work.
sale, baby. Make a sale.
At the end of the day, guys, take all your money and go up to the bookie window and just put all your money on Laser Sounds to win the Triple Crown. Keith and I will be back next week to redeem whatever the hell this was. We wish you a happy week and, Laser Sounds.
Yeah, Laser Sounds.
That was the sound of the podcast imploding.